Good evening and welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Gugulethu Cele. Now, I'll be sitting down with movers and shakers in the financial services space to help you make sense of your finances. January is notoriously a difficult month. Now, that's if you got caught up in mindlessly spending cash meant for January or over-exerting your credit card swipe. But today, I'm joined by Wikus Olivier from DebtSafe for a Janu-worry survival plan. Thank you so much for joining us today, Wikus.
Pleasure to be here.
It's a tough month for everyone, but maybe we need to go a few steps back and take a look at what actually happened in December. Where do folks actually go wrong?
Sure, Gugu, it's an old story, as old as time. So long as people have been earning salaries, December is a notoriously overspending month. People don't apply their bonuses correctly. They get caught up in the hype of the season, going on holiday, and people are of the opinion that they work hard throughout the whole year and they are entitled to spoil themselves now for a little bit, which is not wrong. But if you are struggling financially, it's wiser to take that extra cash in the form of a bonus maybe and applying it to sort of get you through the next month, which is January, which can be a very long month.
Exactly. Maybe let's touch on that culture that you made mention of. It's you're getting your December bonus, it's getting your salary a lot earlier than what was anticipated. It is a culture, but maybe what's fundamentally flawed with it? Is it the fact that maybe South Africans just don't budget or have a financial plan to begin with?
Yeah, many South Africans, and statistics shows it, they don't save and they don't have financial savvy. They don't plan ahead, they don't set financial goals. Most of our consumers don't do that. That's why half of our consumers are in arrears with their credit repayments. And it's a story that won't change unless consumers make the decision to get out of that financial rut that they're in and work towards set financial goals.
So if we could rewind back maybe 3 weeks ago to December the 16th, what should have consumers done differently perhaps? Is it the trends to go out more often and like we mentioned in the intro of the show, the credit card swipe?
Yeah, credit cards are very bad. People delve into those. But I like to use the example of the bonuses where people struggle throughout the year. You know, there's never extra money on a monthly basis. Everything goes from the hand to the mouth, and come December, now there's a bonus and your bank account looks a little bit better, but instead of applying that into an investment or making a payment on your debt, they don't do it. And it's the best time of the year to do it actually, because you struggle the whole year, and when there's extra cash, they don't use it wisely. So definitely the credit cards as well. What you do in December month will definitely set you up for the year going ahead and when January starts. And you know, people should start now in January again to set their goals for December when they get those bonuses. And they don't. It's not going to work if you do it a month before the time. You have to do it well in advance.
Exactly. I want us to also touch on the issue on credit cards, because so often there does seem to be an over-reliance by South African consumers on this easy money, where we want things now and we expect to pay for them later. That culture, is it also one that's very difficult to change?
Yes, I think it's just about cultivating a simpler lifestyle. Because people's salaries didn't necessarily keep up with inflation. So those raises, they never saw it, but now they're relying on credit cards to get by on a month-to-month basis, and that is a huge problem in my opinion. And people should start to cultivate a simpler lifestyle if they're not going to have specific opportunities to increase their income. You need to have a simpler lifestyle, reduce your expenses, so to speak.
Exactly. But we're in January now. Many people having headaches and heart palpitations, discussing how they're going to make it through to the end of the month. What go-to plan should they have now that January is here and there's still a while to go before South Africans receive their paychecks?
Yeah, I think to just start with a financial plan, get a budget in place, but that in its own turn starts with knowing your current position. And that's what most people fear. Credit active consumers are afraid to open up those envelopes that come in the mail. Don't be afraid. Open it up. Go and pull your credit report now so that you become aware of your real situation. Most of the times you'll see it's not even as bad as you think it was.
So how do you stop me from getting depressed if it's a lot worse than what I anticipated?
Yeah, then you have to make the decision as an individual that you're going to get out of it. And I can tell consumers out there, it's not going to be easy. It's a commitment that they have to make in the long run, Many people, I think most people will take about 2 to 3 years to get out of debt if that's what they want to do.
2 to 3 years?
Yeah, they want to
Maybe
become
let's delve
debt-free.
on that, because so often we get into debt like this, Wikus, but 2 to 3 years to pay it off sounds like quite an exaggeration, or like you say, a realistic outlook as to how long you have to pay off.
Yeah, you have to be realistic about it. Don't set unrealistic expectations for yourself. Manage those expectations and see what you can afford. Because you don't want to eat 2-minute noodles now all of a sudden. You still want to maintain some sort of lifestyle. But specifically with the credit cards, it's a good time of the year to cut it up and throw it in the dustbin and then start to pay it off. Because I can guarantee most of the consumers, if they don't stop to use that credit card, they're not going to pay it off.
So you've got this honest outlook as to what your credit situation is now that you've gotten that report, and you're cutting up your credit card. So does this mean you charge down the debt first before maybe looking at savings and other alternatives for investments?
Yeah, definitely, because those debts actually put you into a negative. And I say it's a good thing to apply savings first to get rid of your debt so that you can get out of the negative situation and start to build positive finances in your bank account. And if you still maintain that facility and you keep on using the facility, you're going to go 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and you're never going to see the end of it. But you have to take decisive measures if you want to improve that situation, and that's what it takes.
What about the allocation of paying off your debt while still maintaining a certain level of lifestyle that you become accustomed to? Because there are debts like your bond that you can't necessarily get rid of quite easily, then your credit card and the store accounts that you alluded to, and even your cell phone contracts as well.
Yeah, I would say to start at the most expensive debt, like your credit cards. Those are very expensive. Start with those, pay it off, and then roll it over just a normal payment plan. The internet is full of resources, how to repay your debt and to calculate payment plans. You can just draw up a simple Excel spreadsheet to help you with those payment plan calculations, and then start to pay them off. Start from the smallest one and work your way up to the bond that's left. If you have extra cash, even a little bit, even 100 rands, because consumers need to remember that any cash that you pay first gets allocated towards interests and fees, and then it gets put towards the capital. So if you put a little bit extra in a month, your capital reduction is more.
What about financial goals? It's the beginning of the year. Some people want to lose weight, others want to stop smoking. What about setting financial goals, and how realistic should we be when it comes to wanting to buy that new car or that new flat screen TV? Yeah,
you need to be realistic. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. If you can't buy it cash, don't buy it either. That's also a good method to live by. And personally, that's what I do as well, and that's why I preach this. If I can't buy it cash, unless it's like now a car or a house, which very few people are able to buy those cash, and credit needs to work for you. You need to leverage it to improve your cash flow if you make use of credit.
How do we do that? Because so often is that also connected to your credit record, and so often that's why consumers rely so heavily on their credit cards and other forms of credit?
Yeah, credit, all credit gets sent up to the credit bureaus, and it forms part of your credit profile. So when you do apply for a home loan or something, they do look at your credit profile, they look at your payment history and those type of things. And it's important to maintain a good credit record if you are looking at that at some stage. Especially young professionals starting out on their careers. It's important, if you earn a salary now all of a sudden, and you have access to credit, to maintain it in a good way.
And maybe that also brings us to the different age groups, because you've got your young professionals, you've got many families that are starting, and you've got your elders as well in South African society. Should they all have different financial strategies to tackle January and the rest of the year?
Yeah, each one has their own unique challenges that they face, depending on the demographic or whatever you want to look at there. But I think young professionals definitely set your financial goals in a way that will serve you well in 5 or 10 years time. People in retirement, like pensioners, they've got a different set of challenges, and they need to turn their cents over twice, most of them. And I would like to say to them out there to knuckle down, take a deep breath, and do what needs to get done to get by.
Exactly. Just to take a look at the B word, it's a difficult one for many consumers to actually adapt to, the budget. Drawing up a budget, it's so often said, but it's never something that's very easy for South African consumers to do. And maybe the key objectives that they should have when compiling their budget, because so often we just make a list, we allocate a rough estimate as to what we think we spend, but we don't actually use that tool appropriately.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think consumers out there are bored of hearing about budget. But that's the fact of the matter. You need to start with a budget. You need to see what your expenses are, what your income is, and then draw your conclusions and put in your numbers in there, and then work according to that. And I would say it's a good thing to work your budget from your bank statements, so that you can actually see what you are really spending. Many people just thumbsuck an amount and they put it there, and it's as simple as just drawing up a spreadsheet, putting your expenses there and your income, and making that that deduction there. And when you can see your expenses in front of you, then only can you start to move in a positive direction.
Positive direction. Hopefully that equals more sense in your back pocket.
Yeah, it does. People need to consider a couple of practical things, like reviewing your insurance policies and those types of things. Like your vehicle insurance needs to depreciate. As your vehicle depreciates, your premiums need to be adjusted, and all those type of things. So there's a couple of practical things that they can do to open up a few rands on a monthly basis, and maybe allocate that towards debt repayments. You need to play around with it according to your unique situation.
Exactly. Now, to ensure, just to close off with, Wikus, so as we're approaching December 2015, which is still 11 months from now, to ensure that January next year isn't also a grave concern for many South African consumers, the key 3 takeaway points that we should leave consumers with tonight, what are they?
Yeah, I would say don't take on any more credit if you're already in the red. Don't do it, even if it's difficult and you have to sort of rely on credit to get by. If it's at all possible, don't take on more credit. Start your financial planning now already. For the next 12 months is going to determine how you start next year this time. And if you're not in a good place financially now, don't do it to yourself next year again as well. Knuckle down, do it. You'll be glad you did.
Well, hopefully South African consumers will get financially fit. Now, that's it for Personal Finance this evening. Thank you so much to Wikus Olivier from DebtSafe. Remember that we'd love to hear from you, so you can tweet any comments or questions to @CNBC Africa using the hashtag Finance410, or to myself @Gugulethu. But we'll see you tomorrow evening, where we talk debt damage control. It's goodbye for now, everyone.